So another Halloween has come and gone. Yes, it's the sad truth, but that makes it November 1st. And I always enjoy November 1st because it's the day that Starbucks releases their Thanksgiving blend coffee. You know, since I'm on the road, I figured I'd hunt down a Starbucks, grab a cup, and share my thoughts, tell you what I think. There is no shortage of Thanksgiving blend here at Starbucks. Full-bodied with notes of subtle spice. Well, we'll find out if that's true in just a minute. Now, before I continue, there's something that I probably should address. Some of us are Starbucks people and some of us are not. And when my friends find out that I drink Starbucks coffee, sometimes they're a little bit surprised. They assume that Starbucks would be too low on my standards as far as coffee is concerned, and that's not the case. And I'll give you an example. It's like saying, I love imported chocolates, but I'll never eat a Tootsie Roll. How heartless would someone have to be to say I'll never eat a Tootsie Roll? Look, Starbucks is a completely different arena, right? Yes, I do enjoy my small production coffee roasters, although I do purchase and drink on a day-to-day basis quality craft coffee from producers who are super passionate from around the world. I do get pleasure out of visiting and drinking Starbucks coffee as well. Just wanted to get that out in the open. So I finally found a Starbucks. Wasn't as easy as I thought. And I picked up a tall 2016 Thanksgiving blend coffee. Now this 2016 is going to be Sumatran coffee and Guatemalan coffee. They don't specify on the actual ratio of the blend, but they're not obligated to do so. Now I did ask the barista behind the bar when this batch was actually brewed, and he said within the past 25 minutes. So this is perfect way to test a brand new coffee released by Starbucks. Here we go. All right. You know, it's what I come to expect from Starbucks. I will say right from the get-go, kind of a medium minus acidity here, which you don't always get from Starbucks darker roast. My problem is really more in the execution of how this was brewed. Although they did an okay job, there's a lot of problems with this cup of coffee. First of all, the potency is not there. It's a little bit diluted for my taste. I think this coffee should be presented with a little bit more concentration so the flavors show a bit more. The body, this should be a full, creamy, heavy-bodied, round, velvety, smooth coffee. It should have that mouthfeel that's super heavy and pleasant, almost like you're drinking whole milk. Last but certainly not least, it's bitter, right? There's an overwhelming burned flavor to this coffee, which to many is the staple of what Starbucks flavor profile is all about. Bitter's fine. I love bitter. Bitter is great, but I think in this case it's a little bit out of control, and I think you can harness it and pull that back just a little bit. I think we can express those coffee beans in a slightly more successful fashion. So my question is whether or not if I went and bought a bag of that 2016 Thanksgiving coffee, if I could brew this in a way that's going to highlight its positive attributes while hiding some of those characteristics that we don't want to see in this coffee, sweep them underneath the rug, so to speak. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back inside of Starbucks, purchase a bag, run the beans through a few experiments, see if I can express this coffee in a slightly more successful manner. But I'm still going to drink this, trust me. If you were going to award Starbucks with something, what's one thing that you think that they do really well?
I think it's definitely in the branding. I I don't need coffee right now, but I want coffee because I feel like it's that homey, it's that nostalgic feeling of sitting there on the sofa with a cup of coffee.
So would it be safe to say that you would much rather visit Starbucks than to actually make a cup of Starbucks coffee at home?
Yes. Because I always have Starbucks coffee at home, but I always go out of the house.
Come to Starbucks. What I really appreciate is that no matter when you enter a Starbucks, you know exactly what time of the year it is.
Right.
I think they embrace the seasons, both in the theming of their beverages and their products, but also in the decor with the college student.
Right.
You know, it just reminds me of a time.
Right. Do we just get photo bombed?
I think we're just going to photo bomb. It's not bad, right? Can't complain. All right. So, like I said, I've been on the road for quite a bit now, and I'm in a brand new motel room tonight, and I thought I'd make that cup of coffee. But you're probably asking, how are you going to make a cup of coffee in a motel room? Well, it's a good thing that I brought some toys along with me. Let me go grab them. That's right. Ooh. So in this box, I have everything that we need to make an exceptional cup of coffee. All right, I got my bag, Starbucks Thanksgiving Blend Coffee 2016. And that is, of course, going to be a whole bean coffee. This is the Baratza Encore conical burr grinder. This allows you to dial in the precise grind size that you need for the brewing method that you have in mind. And the brewing method that I have in mind is going to be the pour-over, but not just any pour-over. All right, so because this is a very old, borderline antique item, I don't have the original box, but this dates somewhere in the early 70s. This is called the CHEMEX. Patented in 1941, I believe. It still remains today, by industry standards, as one of the best ways to brew a cup of coffee. But a CHEMEX wouldn't make great CHEMEX coffee without CHEMEX filters. It's actually a very thick stock. It's a very thick stock paper. So I'm trying to get all my tools in order. Right here we have our digital scale. This is going to be crucial. Bottled water. We have an electric kettle because I guess this is really the only way you can boil water in a motel room. Grinder. We got our CHEMEX. We got our coffee. My 30 grams of coffee in this cup, pop this into the burr grinder. I'm gonna do a medium plus size grind. All right, so we're at a rip-roaring boil. A lot of people ask me what I'm doing when I do this. I'm pouring into this filter with no coffee. Well, we want to pre-soak this filter. That's going to do three things. For one, that's going to saturate the filter, making the water, when we brew the coffee, easier to pass through that paper. It's also, again, going to preheat this vessel, and it's also going to rinse out some of the residual paper flavor that might be on this filter. I'm going to go dump this in the sink. So we have 30 grams of coffee. My initial pour is going to be 2 times the weight of the coffee. So we have 30 grams of coffee. I want 60 grams of water. And I want this to soak for about 30 seconds. What that's going to do is it's going to release or degas all of the CO2 that is in this coffee. If we don't do that, it's going to disrupt the brewing process. And for just a little bit of safety, we can even mix that up just to make sure it's all saturated. And a little high school chemistry trick, rinse off the spoon with the water. And we can continue the pour now. Beautiful. Take the filter into the trash. We're going to give this a nice stir. Mickey Mouse Halloween mug. All right, Starbucks Thanksgiving blend coffee in the Mickey mug. Here we go. So here's the thing. Any paper filter method for brewing coffee is essentially going to strip out the oils that are found inside the coffee bean. And when you strip away the oil, you're kind of sacrificing the body of the beverage. Think about salad dressing, right? You have the oil and you have the vinegar, and when you shake it up, there's a fusion and you get a nice, rich, heavy dressing. It's the same thing with coffee. If you strip that oil away, you really just have a very thin beverage. But a method of brewing that doesn't strip away the oil, which is what I think we need to do, is going to be, and you're probably very familiar with this one, the French press. Yes, the French press utilizes not paper, but a mesh filter. What this allows is the oil to pass through this mesh and create that fusion, just like a salad dressing, right? And that's going to give us a heavy-duty, full, rich, creamy-bodied coffee. To be honest with you, the problem with this cup that I just made, it's still very bitter. And what that means is a lot of the astringent compounds that are inside the coffee are being extracted. We want to prevent that from happening. So by utilizing the French press, what we'll be doing is decreasing significantly the surface area of the coffee. So in order to do that, we're going to make sure that the coffee grind is much more coarse. It's going to decrease the surface area. But we're going to increase the extraction time. Extraction time means how long the water is in contact with the coffee itself. With the CHEMEX, the coffee and the water were in contact for about 2.5 to 3 minutes, where with the French press, we're going to be shooting for exactly 4 minutes. If you have one of those thermal presses, that's great too, but you'll find out in a second that you actually probably don't need that, because as soon as the coffee is brewed, we're going to remove the coffee from this carafe into the Stanley thermos, okay? We still have our 50 grams of countdown from 4 minutes. All right, thank you, Siri. Siri's counting down for me. All right, look at that. All right, 4 minutes. We got to move quick. So to know whether or not you have the right grind size, that's perfect. You don't want this plunger to drop straight down to the bottom of the carafe, and you don't want to be applying tons and tons of pressure either. Think about 10 pounds of pressure you want to be able to push down. Now, notice how I'm not keeping this coffee in the carafe. I'm getting it out immediately, because this coffee is going to continue to brew on that coffee. Even though the coffee is all the way pushed to the bottom of the carafe, in order to make sure we don't get those astringent compounds, we want to make sure that we don't over extract. So now check this out. You see the oil droplets? And I'll be honest with you, I kind of knew this was gonna happen. I knew I was going to brew the CHEMEX and I wasn't gonna get what I wanted, but knowing that I had the French press, I wanted to save this to the last, because now we have the oils from the coffee beans that haven't been separated, giving us, just by looking at it, I can tell that this is a creamier cup of coffee. So let me give this a try out of the French press and see what the difference is. There you go. There you go. Surprisingly, a good amount of acidity for such a dark roasted coffee. There's definitely the body that I'm looking for. And what's so great is that bitterness, that astringency has just been subdued to such a minor level. It's bitter and astringent in a pleasant way now for my palate. And being that, being that the bitterness is down here now instead of up here and kind of like having your ear up against a huge amplifier, it's down here. It's a soft sound in the coffee. You could actually get the other nuances, the other flavors that are in this coffee. Definitely some nutty notes, a little bit more of those earthy notes in the coffee. Nice bittersweet chocolate, dark chocolate, nice fudgy notes that come through. And if you want to pair this with your favorite Thanksgiving Day dessert, excellent, right? Because what doesn't pair well with nice chocolatey, fudgy notes? Oh yeah. If you like Starbucks and you want to pick up a bag of this Thanksgiving, pick up a French press. You know, these are not that big of an investment. Really, out of all the other equipment that I was using, this is really not that much money. This one here is a Bonjour. I like it a lot. It goes for about $29.95. What is your favorite brewing method? There's so many of them. The pour-overs, the French presses, the espressos, all the different items that are now available, like the AeroPress, that little plastic contraption, but actually can make a really interesting, complex cup of coffee. Which is your favorite brewing method? I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me while I was making the coffee today. And I just want to remind you, if you like this video, hit like. And better yet, if you haven't subscribed, do that. What I would really like for you to do, though, is leave a comment down below. All right, so I think that's going to do it for me tonight. I'm going to enjoy my cup of coffee, probably sit on the bed and watch a little bit of TV. But once again, thank you for watching. And guys, I'll see you again real soon.